barring migrants from 7 countries from entering the US. We're joined from New York by Betsy McCaughey, former Lieutenant Governor of New York and a former Trump advisor. Of course, New York, a wonderful center for migration and the reception of refugees right the way through history. So are you proud now of the slogan we must apply, which is "Do not bring your huddled masses"?
Well, that's not an accurate description of the executive order issued by newly elected President Trump. He's keeping a promise that he made to the people of the United States throughout his campaign, that he would temporarily suspend migration from the highest risk countries until the federal government could develop more effective methods of vetting those coming in. So he has temporarily suspended travel from 7 countries that were identified by the previous administration, the Obama administration, based on the most current intelligence. And that is what we are doing. He promised Americans he would keep them safe, and he is keeping his promise.
Are you disappointed then that he is not including the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, responsible for providing 19 of their citizens who smashed up the Twin Towers and killed 3,000 of your fellow Americans and certainly have the chance of doing it again?
I'm not disappointed, and you're incorrect to say they have a chance of doing it again. The reason those countries were excluded from the list is that we have competent ways of vetting people coming in from those countries. The databases exist. But for the 7 countries on the list, they either lack the databases or their government, or lack of a real permanent government, provide no cooperation with United States immigration officials and Homeland Security officials in the vetting process. And that's why those 7 countries are on the list. Let me be clear to everyone watching that this is not a ban on Muslims. These 7 countries represent less than 20% of the Muslim population of the world. This is a temporary suspension of travel based solely on the lack of availability of data to vet those who are entering the country.
Betsy McCaughey,
and I'd also like to point out, because
Well, Betsy McCaughey,
I'd also like to point out, because we're addressing
you've not addressed the reality, which is, of course, that if the intelligence against Saudi Arabia was so good, we would know that they were exporting vast numbers of Wahhabi preachers and the rest who are spreading this radical belief all the way through Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq. Why are you not moving against Wahhabism, which is a threat to the United States?
We are, but you are incorrect when you say that the databases don't exist. We have very good cooperation with those countries in identifying who's coming in. It's the 7 countries on the list that have failed to provide the kind of cooperation and databases that are required to vet people coming into the country. And let me just add this, since we're addressing a British audience. The Pew Foundation, an international research foundation, nonpartisan, has recently asked people in England what their thoughts are, and 52% of those polled say that they believe that travel from that part of the world does pose a risk to their safety in terms of terrorism.
Okay,
and 72% believe that the European Union is not doing enough to protect Europeans from the risk posed by terrorists coming from the Middle East.
You'll have heard today that the President of the European Union or European Council has stated that America is an external threat to Europe. But let me move you on to another issue, which is that of Steve Bannon, who was the editor of a right-wing website and who is being given precedence to go into the National Security Council and attend all meetings above and beyond that which is being accorded to the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staffs.
Well, I think you're nitpicking and distorting what is an internal decision by a White House staff about who attends what kinds of meetings. And I would urge your audience not to be misled by this kind of nuance.
Well, Betsy McCaughey, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thanks a lot.
You're quite welcome.